everyone, Becca here and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be sewing up the Elowyn from Petite Stitchery, which is, I'm wearing one right now. It is a crop top or sports bra. There's a couple different options. This one is fully reversible. There's also a banded option. There's an option that is not reversible with a shelf bra. So most of them give the same result, just a couple different ways of constructing it or different options if you want it reversible. And they all have this super cute double strap on one side and the single strap on the other, which is a really fun design detail with this diagonal seam down the front, and the back is identical. So if you make it reversible, you can really wear it however you want. So this one I did the same on the inside, so it doesn't matter, but I will be sewing up this exact version. It is the fully reversible sports crop, so it hits about here. There's no band on it. I will actually be sewing it up in swim, so I'm going to be making a swimsuit out of it, and I will be doing the inside a different color than the outside so that I have two options. So let's get started. Alright, to get started, I have already cut out all of my pattern pieces, and I am doing a couple different fabrics. What I'm doing for the one side, I am doing this print with this orange, and then on the inside I am doing all black. So this is going to make it reversible, and then I can wear it different ways. So if you were doing all one color, you would basically have 4 pieces of each piece, but they would be 2 sets of opposites. And then if you were doing, like if I was doing the inside the same as this, I would have 2 sets of opposites of the print and 2 sets of opposites of the solid color. But so what we're going to do first is we are going to start off by just piecing our pieces together. If you are doing the outside and inside these same prints, I would recommend laying out all of your pieces, especially if you're doing a solid color, getting them all in order, making sure you have the right pieces together, just because there's so many of the same pieces. But what we're going to do first is we're going to lay out our pieces, and we are going to take our one piece of our bodice and line up our right sides together on this angle. So it is going to look a little odd like that, but then when you sew it, it'll flip open and be flat. So you're going to line them up on this angled seam right here, raw edges together, and we'll do that with all 4 of our bodice pieces. And what we're going to just do is just go over and just sew up this seam on all 4 of our pieces. So for my inside here, I'll do the same thing. Let's see, with right sides together. If you're doing solids, make sure you have the your right sides together, since it can be kind of hard to tell. But so we'll do that and sew those all up, and then you could also, if you wanted to, once this is sewn, you could top stitch this seam down just for a little bit of a cleaner look. Alright, I went ahead and sewed all of my pieces together, and I did go ahead and top stitch them. That's just personal preference, but well, this one I just used a long straight stitch, and this one I used a triple straight stitch, which is more of a stretch stitch, but this still gives me enough stretch that it should be okay. And I will say, for the black, I am constructing it all on my sewing machine, and this one I am using my serger for the construction. And the reason I'm doing that is just because I need 2 different colors thread, and so I'm just going to do the black on my machine, which you can construct it completely on your machine, your sewing machine, or on your serger, but I just prefer to have matching thread, especially with black. So you can see I just did a triple straight stitch, and it gives it nice stretch, and you can't even tell any difference from the front. And oh, and I will say, you can see more on the black, these spots. I am doing swim, which is very slippery. So I like to just, took a glue stick and put some glue at the ends of my seams just to hold it in place so it doesn't slide. That's a great tip to use when working with slippery fabrics, or you have a problem with one feeding faster than the other at the beginning, to make sure your seams are lined up. But so what we're going to do now is we are going to take one of our outer pieces and one of our inner pieces, and we are going to line them up right sides together. So you should have your diagonal matching up and your straps are all matching up. So what we're going to do is line up our arm size and these straps, and we are going to sew up all of these curves. So we're going to start here, sew up this arm side, then we're going to sew all the way around the neck hole, and then we are going to sew around this opening in the strap, and then sew this arm side. So you will have openings at the top of all of these straps, and we will repeat that on both pieces. And so like here, I'll show you real quick. I'd like to just go in here and just put like a little dab of glue, and this is literally just Elmer's glue that will just wash out as soon as you use it. Super cheap, super accessible, which is why I love it. And also easy to use. You just want to make sure you don't get it on your fingers, because otherwise you got a sticky mess. But so I will do that, and I will sew that up. And now that I'm constructing it with both, I'm just going to do it all on my serger. I just wanted this seam to be black, so I'm going to go sew those up and be back. Okay, so I got all of my seams sewn, and you can really see those seams on this black with the white thread. And so like I said, you should have openings at the top of all of your straps. And so here's the other side. And so because I am doing swim, if you're doing swim, or if you are making it like an actual like sports bra or something like that, it's suggested in the pattern to put elastic in it, which I will be doing. I am only going to put elastic in the arm size. I find that that is fine for me. But how I like to do elastic, I'm going to use 3/8 inch elastic. If I had 1/4 of an inch, I would use that instead, but this is what I have. So that's just what I'm going with. What you're going to do is you're going to attach it at a 1-to-1 ratio, which means it's going to be the same length as your seam. And I like to start it about 1/4 of an inch below the top of the strap, because you're going to have a seam here, and that'll just reduce the bulk. But so I just will put it on there, and I'm going to sew it with a zigzag stitch into the seam allowance. So when I am sewing this, I'm going to line up the edge of my elastic with my inside stitch of my serger seam, or if you did it on your sewing machine, just your stitch line. And then as I do it, I will just make sure my elastic is flat. I'm not going to stretch it, and I'm not going to have it so loose that I'm stretching my garment, because otherwise it's just going to come out all wonky. So you just want to have barely any tension on it, just enough to make sure that it is flat and not bunching up. Like I said, if you do it too tight, then it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to kind of bunch up, and it won't look great, and it might dig into your armpits. But so I just will feed it through as I'm sewing, and then I cut it off, and then I just go on to the next one. So I don't really measure it out. I just kind of play it by ear with the stitching, and then like I said, I line it up. And so this one is a little bit wider than my seam allowance, but I put the extra off to the side so that then when you wear it, it folds over on the inside, because if it's here and it's folds over, it might make the lining pop out. And then I like to do it on the same side, so I'm going to do it on all of the black side arm size. So I will stitch elastic in 4 places, and then the same thing down here. I like to stop about 1/4 of an inch. So again, just a regular zigzag stitch on my machine. You could serge it on, but again, then with this being bigger, you have that issue of it showing and possibly rolling. So I like to just zigzag on my machine, and it's not a bad idea to just baste it on first before you stitch it if you are nervous about the fit or just you aren't super comfortable with putting your elastic on. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my elastic to my arm size and be back. Alright, I got my elastic added in, and I did baste it on first. So if you put a basting stitch in, you can just kind of pop those stitches out so that it stretches, because the basting stitch won't stretch. You could also remove it with a seam ripper, but this typically works fine for me. So you just pull that out, and then you can also see where I left about 1/4 of an inch up at the top, just to not have that extra bulk in the seams when those are sewn together. What we're going to do next is we're simply just going to leave our pieces how they are, and we are just going to go over and sew up the bottom of each of our pieces. So you just do a straight stitch all the way across on both pieces, and I'll be back. So that was just a simple quick step, and so now we are here, and we are going to take one piece, it doesn't matter which one, and we are going to turn it right side out. So the side with the 2 straps may be a little trickier just because they're pretty thin. So, let's see, I'm just gonna, this is just a marker, just to push those up and through. So you just want to turn it out so there you can see how nice this looks. And what we are going to do is we are going to take this and slide it into our other piece. So it is right sides together, and you want the same print or color matching right sides together. So for instance, my black is going to go on the bottom because it's there. So the lining and mains are matching. So we're going to just get it in there, and then you are going to carefully make sure your straps aren't getting twisted or anything. And I got mine all messed up. So let's see. I'm going to just take my strap first here. We're going to slide our strap in all the way up. So then matching right sides of the same fabric together. So you want to be really careful if you are doing all one color here, just to make sure that it's not twisted. You might want to put markings or something so you know which side goes with which. You're going to butt up your seams on each edge, lining up your raw edges. And so this is why you don't really want that elastic going all the way up, because there's going to be a lot of bulk up here otherwise. And so we are just going to then repeat that with our other straps. So you just gotta feed it up. These are little tweezers, they're big tweezers I guess, and just grab it and pull it up like that. And then again, match up your right sides together, match up your side seams, and sandwich those in. And then we will do the same thing for that last strap. And then what you're going to do once you have those in is you are going to just sew straight across all of those to connect them. So I'm going to finish up this strap and get those sewn up. All right, so we are almost done. Once you have your strap sewn up there, if you want, you can turn it around and just kind of see how it's doing. But all we have left to do is we are going to close up the side seams. So what we're going to do is match up your seam in the armpit, and then you want to match up your hem seam. Match those up. So you have a circle, and you are just going to go and sew all the way around on this side, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side, matching up your seams. The only difference is on this side, you are going to leave about a 2-inch gap, and that is going to be what we use to turn it right sides out. And I will say, I actually think I'm going to leave the gap over here on this white. If possible, I like to leave the gap on a printed side, just because then when I close up that gap, the print will kind of camouflage the stitching. But that's, again, a personal preference, but just something to think about. So I'm probably going to leave the gap right here on this side. All right, so I got those sewn up, and you can see here I have this one sewn all the way around, and then over here I left my gap. And then all we have left to do now is you just take everything through that hole and you pull it out. So you can see up here your straps. And where's my last strap? And voila, and look how cute that is. So the last thing that you have to do then is, if you would like, you can top stitch your necklines and your arm size all the way around, just to make it lay nicely. And then you do need to stitch your hole closed. I am going to do a hand stitch and ladder stitch it so that it's invisible. You could, if you wanted, just put it like this and then do a really small, like 1/8 of an inch off the edge, top stitch that shut. That will give you a little bit of a lip, but most people won't notice it. And again, that's part of, you know, if you're in the a print or something that's a little bit crazier, it won't be noticed. But other than that, you are done. All right, once you close up your hole, you are done. Or if you chose to top stitch, and you can see I did choose to top stitch that, so I did white on the top of the pattern with black on the bottom, and then I did switch to a matching orange over here with, again, black on the bottom. And I did choose to, just because of time constraints, sew this up with my sewing machine, and you can see how there is a little hump. I do need to trim that thread still. So if I lay it flat, there's a little bump, but that's in this side seam under the armpit here, so nobody will really notice. But I will pop up a photo right here of how this looks on. I tried it on, I wore it to a water park and held up great, super cute. And I will show you, then you can just flip it inside out, and I have my black option. So like I mentioned at the beginning, this is the Elowyn Sports Crop in the reversible option, and I did put a link in the description below if you wanted to grab it. This is available in adult sizes and youth sizes, and like I said, this is just a really versatile pattern. He used this as a crop top, swimsuit, sports bra, really anything you want. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave me a comment down below, or you can also find me on Instagram at SewBex, and you can reach out there with any questions you have regarding this pattern or any other sewing questions. And also make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, bye.